Canada's legal system has now confirmed what Palestinians and international justice bodies have been saying for decades. The Jewish National Fund isn't a charity. It's a vehicle for land theft and ethnic cleansing. On June 2, 2025, Canada's Federal Court of Appeal delivered its final verdict. The Jewish National Fund of Canada is no longer a registered charity. The court upheld the Canada Revenue Agency's decision, finding that JNF Canada's activities are not charitable and that it lacks direction and control over its funds sent to Israel. This landmark ruling aligns Canada with the findings of the ICJ and the UN. In July 2024, the International Court of Justice ruled that Israel's occupation of Palestinian territory is unlawful, and that all countries are obligated to stop providing aid or assistance that sustains it. In October, the UN Commission of Inquiry explicitly called on states to revoke charitable status from groups financially or politically supporting the unlawful occupation. Since its founding in 1901, the Jewish National Fund has served as the land acquisition arm of the Zionist movement, dedicated to making land in Palestine exclusively available for Jews. In practice, this meant systematically dispossessing Palestinian families from land they had lived on and cultivated for generations. One of the JNF's first targets was Palestine's most fertile region, the Jezreel Valley. To acquire it, the JNF struck a deal with the Serzok family, absentee landlords based in Beirut. Despite the presence of malaria, which caused high infant mortality and chronic health issues, the valley was fully inhabited and intensively cultivated. Over 8,000 fellahin, as the Palestinian peasantry were known, lived in 22 villages, working a thriving agricultural landscape alongside seasonal Bedouin pastoralists in a multi-layered rural economy that had evolved over centuries. In 1887, British writer Laurence Oliphant described the valley as a huge green lake of waving wheat, with its village-crowned mounds rising from it like islands. One of the most striking pictures of luxuriant fertility. And in 1852, American writer Bayard Taylor called it one of the richest districts in the world. So how did the Sursoks get their hands on it? According to testimony before the 1930 Shaw Commission, the Ottoman state, deep in debt, gave the Sursoks title to tens of thousands of acres as collateral for loans. But that land was already legally held by the fellahin who farmed it. Using mere land as collateral was illegal under Ottoman law, but the state likely assumed that even in the worst-case scenario, the fellahin would remain, and someone else would collect the taxes. From the outset, community leaders, urban merchants, and village elders challenged the Sursoks' claim in Ottoman courts. In 1912, the Administrative Council of Acre intervened to reverse several of the land transfers, restoring deeds to families in villages like Malul, Al-Makbi, Safsaf, and Al-Tira. But in the end, bribery, bureaucratic manipulation, elite influence, and British colonial backing tipped the balance in the Sursoks' favor. Then came the JNF. After purchasing the land from the Sursoks, the Jewish National Fund evicted 1,746 families, nearly 9,000 Palestinians, and depopulated 22 villages, wiping out a centuries-old way of life. Exhibit 71 from the Shaw Commission lists all 22 villages affected by the Sursok sale, detailing the number of families, population, and total land cultivated before the evictions. The Shaw Commission warned that this had created a landless and discontented class, a potential danger to the country. Dispossessed and destitute, many fellahin wound up in shanty towns on the edges of cities, a ticking time bomb of despair and resentment that exploded into anti-Jewish sectarian violence in 1929. After 1948, the Jewish National Fund shifted from buying land to seizing it. The method was simple: expel the Palestinians, ban their return, then pass a law allowing the state to seize absentee owners land. The village of Ma'alul was one of the Jezreel Valley villages that managed to get its land titles returned from the Suzaks. Its residents, including Greek Catholic families, were expelled at gunpoint in 1948 during the Nakba. They found refuge in Nazareth, about 6 kilometers away. They were not allowed to return home, even though they were just down the road. Because they had left their usual place of residence, Israel declared them absentees. Their land was confiscated, their homes destroyed, and they were barred from returning. Today, the descendants of Ma'alul's villagers are allowed to pray at their 350-year-old church, but they're forbidden from living on the land around it because it's owned by the JNF. By 1954, over 1/3 of Israel's Jewish population was living on stolen Palestinian land that had passed through the JNF's hands using the same scheme. After 1967, the JNF began funding the infrastructure that supported expanding illegal settlements in the occupied territories. Both segregated infrastructure to enable a system of apartheid and infrastructure for the military to enforce it. For decades, JNF Canada raised money under the guise of environmentalism, planting trees, building water reservoirs, and preserving natural habitats. But complaints revealed these projects were a facade covering the real use of funds, financing greenwashing projects to obscure Palestinian dispossession, building infrastructure for the Israeli military, and supporting illegal West Bank settlements. Now, after 57 years of tax-deductible complicity, Canada has finally pulled the plug. Canada's courts have spoken. The JNF isn't a charity, it's a colonial land grab. It's time for other governments to follow Canada's lead. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons if you would like to see more content like this.